long pain yanking me off the stage?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. This is Dave Weig, Chairman of the Morris Planning and Zoning Commission, calling to order a special meeting of the Morrison Planning and Zoning Commission at approximately 7:07 on Wednesday, April 29th, 2020. Members present are Veronica Florio, Eileen Narbutis. I could have called you Mr. iPad, but Kevin Curley, and I will appoint David Jeremiah for Bob Paradis, because it sounds like he's the one who's most definitely not going to join in again.
Okay.
And that gives us a quorum to get started for the meeting. We have no new business, so let's go one step beyond and go to 3A and start the town plan of conservation and development.
Good.
I'll turn that over to you. Where we want to start? Do you want to start with the survey?
Yeah, Eileen made some adjustments. I think I emailed it to everyone, or she emailed it to everyone. So if you guys want to just go over them, and we can vote on whether we want to, this is the format we want to do. So go ahead, Eileen, if you want to start up.
Sure. Can you scroll a little bit more to the top? So my first question was, is this survey to be completed per household or per individual? And depending upon how we answer, that would be one of the two paragraphs that I had started the document with, depending upon how we want it answered.
This is Veronica. I think it should be by resident is what I think.
Yes, by individual.
Yeah, individual. Yep.
I mean, if we want to, I don't mind asking what's her face, Jocelyn Air, and but my personal feeling on it's each individual opinion. Husbands and wives aren't going to agree, so I'd rather get the husband and the wife's opinion, not just a consensus among the two.
Yeah.
Tony, it might be easier if you pull up the actual Word document, because it is done in review. That way you can either accept or decline the
changes.
changes.
Good thinking.
The issue with that is that I don't have Word on this computer.
Oh, he doesn't have Word on his
computer.
computer.
If you make me, I can pull it up on my computer.
Yeah, do that, and you can just do share.
Yeah,
that way it's easier. I'll stop sharing. You share.
All right. Let me just.
No, that's a good idea. Thank you, Eileen.
Wow, this is cool.
And your audio's working too.
This is amazing. I'm amazed that I figured out how to do it.
And I'm not surprised. You're smart.
Oh, not that smart. Smartphone, stupid operator.
Oh, stop.
Well, there's always PEBCAC. Problem exists between keyboard and chair.
Yes. I suffer from that, yes.
All right. Where would you be if I had you? It's a good question. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, it should be right on the bottom there.
No, I'm talking about where it would be in my computer.
Okay.
The document. All right, so I click on share screen.
Yep.
Show my screen.
All right. Do you guys see the document?
No.
No.
Not
Okay.
yet.
Give it a minute. Yeah, it might take a minute.
Nope.
Host disabled participant screen sharing.
Oh. Let's make you a co-host
Okay, Mr.
too.
Host.
We gotta make her. Yeah, we gotta host.
Not the ghost of the machine, it's the host in the machine.
Okay. So there we go. Share.
Nice.
All right.
Oh, that's much better. It has color too.
Yeah. All right. So I just did a little wordsmithing on the opening paragraph, and if we are going to do it as participant, if that's what the commission wants, I can delete the paragraph for if it's each household, which is this one.
Okay.
If that's in agreement with everyone.
I say
Well,
yes.
do you want me to, Kevin, David, any disagreements?
No.
Veronica, I think, already said, agreed with that.
Yep.
And that leaves,
I believe this is Kevin Curley. I believe it should be the individual.
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, I think that's
I
pretty
think we're all
a
on the
consensus
board.
that I'm sure everyone wants everyone in the town to do the survey. So
Yeah, the
Yeah.
only question that's not clear in that paragraph is we don't direct in that paragraph any sort of determination of age for whether somebody's, we're asking for them to fill the survey out. So ordinarily voters vote on things, but this is one of those funny areas where we have to decide whether we want to open the door to non-voters. And I wasn't here for the past POCAD, so I don't know how that survey works.
We didn't do a survey like this. We did public meetings, and we have like some cards that were filled out or sheets of paper that were filled out or copies of postcard-like things that were filled out with responses.
Yeah, the reason I say is because there's some families that are very active, like say the Sedaris family. I could see their teenagers wishing to fill out the survey. So are we determining that that's something we want or not want? And if we don't care, do we even address it in the paragraph?
Or you do
The
adults?
voting age is 18, and I would bet you half of the people we'd consider children in that family, or at least a third of them, are over 18 by now. There
Yeah,
are
maybe.
quite-
I'm just saying,
so-
the example is, do we make this so a teenager should or shouldn't do it?
I think it's taxpayer, really, right?
Yeah, but I mean,
I feel
don't
like it
what
should.
young people
should be.
think about their future in Morris if they choose to fill it out?
I agree.
But actually, yeah, I mean, would a 15-year-old who's growing up
Yeah.
in town, are they looking to get the hell out of Dodge sort of thing? Or
Exactly.
do
Shouldn't we
they-
know that?
Then they'll move
It-
back.
So
Maybe
I
it
don't-
should
I
be
don't-
like
we
anyone
can't-
who's in ninth grade or old. Well, for school age,
We
maybe
can't-
ninth grade.
16 and
we
older.
can't.
This
I
is
think
I.
it's each resident and leave it up to people if they want to fill it out. I don't think you're going to have 5-year-olds filling it out, but if a 14 or a 13-year-old is sitting around with their family and they want to fill one out, why can't they tell us what they think about their future in Morris?
Isn't it like the census?
And don't we have an age category on the bottom anyway,
Yeah.
such that we'll know the age of the person?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
We can't stop people from filling this out. And
no.
people have a right to express themselves, and this is a medium to express themselves. So in a sense, to me, that's this is speech.
We do say under 18 years old in that. So
Yeah. So yeah, we should.
Yeah.
Anyone who lives in Morris, resides
This
in Morris,
is,
has an address in Morris.
Yeah, so we have
Right.
the age question. They
and
would
don't
say-
forget, guys, that we have to say our names before we're talking.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Eileen. This is Dave Wood Chairman again.
And this is Eileen. My opinion is if someone's going to take the initiative to complete the survey, that we should allow them to and take their responses.
This is Veronica, I agree.
This is Kevin. I agree.
Okay, sounds good.
This is Dave. I agree.
So the original paragraph is down below. It's crossed out, and I changed it to the Morris Planning and Zoning Commission is asking each Morris resident to complete a survey that will help the town of Morris determine what conservation, land use, and development concerns are most important to Morristown residents for the future. The information gathered will be used to prioritize strategies to achieve the common town goals of our boards, commissions, local businesses, organizations, and of course our residents. That's definitely something that can be changed if people don't like the wording of it.
No, that's the first line, right? The first, yeah.
This is like the top of the survey.
If I saw this, I wouldn't give it to my kids because I wouldn't think they would be filling it out anyway.
Mm.
Unless you send them out to a family of a family, if you know how many people living in a house.
This is online. Just
This
for
is
a point of
online.
information.
So do you put people's names to them? Or are you sending them out to Mr. and Mrs. Jeremiah and family members?
No, it's anonymous. right?
It's a survey monkey where they're clicking on the link based upon how they are receiving it, whether they're going to the town website or it's an email that came in. So it depends on what email addresses we have. If we have an email address for every single person in that household, I would think every person in that household would get the email.
All right, and the ones that don't. That's,
And it's conceivable we might do a mailing, or we might send, give the school stuff for the kids to take home to their parents.
Mm-hmm.
Find various other ways of spreading the word. And there's no way we can stop anybody from filling it out. So
Right. Or this is Eileen, or how many times they fill it out.
the attempt is to have one person in each family to fill one out, right?
At least.
Right.
At least, yeah. This is
my house,
Veronica. Husband and wife, like David said, may not agree on things, and they should each fill out their own.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if this came, as Dave Jeremiah, if this came to my house and I just saw one of them, I'd tell my wife, "Here, fill it out, send it in."
That's what happened at my house too.
right.
This is Kevin. I
Yes,
believe
Kevin.
that last time we discussed at the last meeting, we talked about the notion that we weren't going to be sending a full survey paper home to people. We'd essentially be sending them a postcard,
Right.
Yes.
guide them to the digital version or how they could receive a paper version if they needed it. Right?
Correct.
So but somebody shouldn't see the survey at home. They'll have to go online, in which then they would be prompted to as many opportunities to fill it out as their household needs.
Right.
Thank you, Kevin.
Dave Jeremiah, what if you put out there each more resident and family member? Just put
What's
it right
that, Dave?
Well, we want to make sure that they live in Morris, that not somebody from Woodbury is completing this because they're a family member.
or Morris resident with a living family member, or
Or this is Eileen, or we're asking each Morris resident within your household.
yeah.
This is your chairman again, and the other thing I'm wondering, should we have a question at the bottom that says, do you live in Morris or not? Just to eliminate the
And you-
fact that other people may get the thing and want to fill it out and see if,
Well,
most people will answer appropriately, but
I think at the bottom there's a question that asks, "Do you live in Morris? Right, full time, part time, right? Is that
Yes.
true?
this is
or-
Veronica.
yeah.
The first question is, what were your
Right.
reasons for choosing to live in Morris? So if you don't live in Morris, then you would want to fill it out.
There's no second.
good point, Veronica.
There's no second home. Why did you choose living in Morris? You could say there's nothing there for a second home. Or
Agreed, Dave.
This
There
is
is
Kevin. I think
somewhere-
that the chance of fraud is probably going to be 1% or less on this.
I don't think we have to worry about that.
Yeah.
There's already it's Veronica. There's already a question 20. Do you live in Morris full-time or part-time?
all right.
Did you hear that?
Yes.
We did.
Hello? Uh-oh, I think we lost the chairman.
Don't hear you, Dave.
I'm sure he'll be back.
Yeah, he's probably dialing back in.
All right.
Is there while Dave is still coming back in, we can ask him when he comes back as well. This is Eileen. Is everyone in agreement with the rest of the paragraph, or is there any other wordsmithing you want me to do? Is it make sense for what the goal is of the survey?
I think it's
Right.
fine.
This is Kevin.
Personally,
I think the paragraph is sufficient.
Okay.
Veronica,
so
yeah, you
too.
don't want to make it too long. Nobody reads stuff if it's too long.
Right. But I wanted to make it a little bit more personable. That's why I added, like the who is asking for the survey to be completed, as opposed to the original paragraph that just said the responses are to help with the town budget. I just wanted to make it a little bit more personable. And then we'll have to wait for David for the next question. But my next question is do we want to have him as the chairman sign it? Do we want all of our names as committee members to be on this? Or do we want it just to say the Morris Planning and Zoning Commission?
Plan on zoning.
I think it should just say the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Are you back with us, Dave?
Yeah, I'm gonna admit him right now. Dave, are you there?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, excellent.
Sorry, I was trying to knock on the phone to try to pound the gavel because I was getting concerned that, we're going on and on, but we got to try to put as Eileen said, we got to try to make sure our names are mentioned each time we speak. Again, this is Dave Wigg, Chairman.
And this is Veronica, and you remind me now of Harry from Night Court.
So while we were waiting for you to come back, this is Eileen, the rest of the commission agreed that the paragraph now as stands is sufficient. Are you in agreement, Dave?
If the board is in favor of it, I'm in favor of it.
Okay. So
I'm chairman. I just so you know, like Bob, I will tend not to vote, and I will try to be a little more less expressive of opinions because as chairman, I'm here to be a moderator and to let you guys make decisions, and I only rein you in if I think something's out of hand and is, potentially a mistake from a legal or whatever perspective.
All right, so we're going to accept the deletion of that. The next question was, how should this be signed? Most of the commission thinks that it should just say the Morris Planning and Zoning Commission as opposed to it being signed with their names or signed by the chairperson. Are you also in agreement, Dave?
The only question I would have on that one, more as a point of information, is what does the charter say? Are we Morris Planning and Zoning Commission? Are we the Morris Planning and Zoning Commission? Has anybody looked that up to confirm that? Whatever it says there is what it should say. I haven't either. I've been on this board for 30 years, and I'm not 100% sure what the answer to that question is. But that's...
Kevin, Eileen, I think you can strike the word "the" and leave it as it is. And I think regardless of whatever we are in the charter,
I agree.
I don't think anyone's going to call us out on something that could be considered a typo.
Okay.
I agree.
I think it's good.
I'm not considered a typo, whatever we have in there. I just was thinking technically we probably should, know that answer. And I don't know that answer. So that's something that Tony and I will need to figure out.
And I also added, it did say, thank you for participating in our survey. Your input is important. And then I added, in planning for the great town of Morris. Maybe it should just say in planning for the town of Morris. Thoughts?
This is Kevin. I think it's adjective. And just put your input is important in planning for the town of Morris.
And you are?
Kevin.
Thank you.
He said that. He said he was Kevin.
Oh, I missed that.
It's Veronica. Yeah, I agree. We should leave it like this. Yeah.
Okay. And then questions 1 and 2, there was no changes. 3, obviously the capitalization we would do. And I changed not applicable to does not apply to me. Because in other surveys that I have seen, it would typically say that as opposed to not applicable.
Okay.
So we can have it however you guys want.
Veronica, that's fine.
That's
Does not
fine.
apply to me.
Dave Jeremiah here.
Okay. Question number 4, I had added an example of for pedestrian accessibility to the town center. I added example sidewalks, parking, because when I first read pedestrian accessibility of the town center, if I hadn't have been on our meeting, I wouldn't have known what that concern was necessarily.
That was pretty pedestrian of you, Eileen.
The shuttle bus, right?
Yeah, the short bus. And then high speed was just spelled wrong, so I fixed that.
Okay.
Again, just some grammatical changes.
Dave Weed here. I put that's a capital T. I think you want up there in town of Morris.
Yep. Grammatical. Number 8 was the best way to notify you of town events. I took direct email and just put email.
Yeah.
And added direct mailer
Okay.
because we didn't have the option on here for people just to get something in the mail.
That's good.
Okay.
Dave Reed has another comment here, Eileen and Dave. If we're saying the town of Morris in those places, I think there are a couple other places we probably should change it to be consistent.
You want them all to say the town? Okay.
We should be
The
consistent.
only, this is Kevin. The only question I have about 8 is this a situation where we should allow them to select more than one item?
Agreed.
Oh, like pick one, choose 2, choose 3. Yeah.
Check all that apply.
Yeah, check all that, apply, that works.
Agreed.
Technically,
Veronica.
full of information, when you're saying best, that implies one.
Right.
Mm.
So,
I could pick them all too. I'd rather just, what's the best one? Pick one. You know.
Okay. I don't. This is Kevin. I don't have opinion either way. I just want to put that question forth before we limit it to just one.
Mm. I wonder, this is Eileen, maybe you could say, what are the best ways to notify you of a town event or issue?
Ooh, she's good.
And then
Yes.
number, which one? A number and row or word?
What are the best ways to notify you? Yeah.
Does anybody like that?
Well, Dave Jeremiah, whoever enters this in a database later on or responds to this,
Yeah, are they going to want to pick 6
you're
of
going to
them?
type in 4 different ways of, I mean, I'll pick every one for myself too.
Well, don't forget, this is Eileen. It is SurveyMonkey, so you are able to export all of the data, I would think, into like an Excel spreadsheet that you would be able to upload into some type of an LMS system.
This is Town of Morris.
This is Veronica. All right, I'm gonna be stupid. What is an LMS system?
A learning system, it could be, or possibly a system that you would use to like Salesforce, where it's
Okay.
all inclusive, where it's every
Okay.
touch point with the person as a
Mhm.
participant.
Okay.
one point of information is, I would think this is just information gathering, because this is Dave Wig, because the survey is anonymous.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right. So how would where we be entering it? It would just be looking at like what is the preferred method. Well, you know what?
Like, if we're gonna
This is Eileen.
money
Last
on
week this
something.
didn't come up. Perhaps it's just best that we continue on with the editing. Otherwise, we're going to be looking at every single question and trying to rehash them all over again.
I agree.
Simplify.
This is Kevin. Sounds good.
Are you okay with it being from direct email to email and adding direct mailer?
Yes.
That's fine.
Yes.
Okay. All right. For number 10, I added check all that apply to the do you and your family members have the housing options in Morris that you need, because technically you could pick, we anticipate at some point, our parents and our children you could actually have both of those that you would be selecting. So that's why I had added check all that apply, but that can be removed if nobody agrees with me.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's treat time.
Isn't currently available in Morris belong at the end of the prior line. Eileen, this is Dave Week. It's 5 lines down. Wow.
Currently, yeah. Okay.
Sorry, my Word document's a little bit. So which
Yeah.
sentence?
Right where your thing is, right there.
2 after no. Yeah.
So this
Oh,
was
no.
not formatted properly when I copied it over from the PDF. So it probably does need
Okay.
to go up on, so I'll just bring it up after the review. Because I copied it out of Adobe. I was trying to do the changes in Adobe Acrobat, but then I realized many people probably won't be able to see those because I didn't think you guys all had that technology. So that's why I copied and pasted it into a Word document.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we just because I noticed that, maybe we should fix that so we don't forget it.
Yeah. All right. So let me just shut tracking changes and then I can just fix it. Oops. It's only because you guys are all watching.
Oh, please. I wouldn't know how to even turn that thing on with the tracking. So I'm learning. Thank you.
As I like to say, we're sitting in the 2010 seat. You're in the 2020 seat.
Yeah, I'm probably in a 2005.
No, I'm saying your vision is 2020. When we were watching you, our vision's 2010. We'll see things you won't see.
Right. Yeah. Because second set of eyes. There we go. That's better. But are we good with keeping it check all that apply in case there are people that say, yes, they do have the housing options they need. However, that they anticipate at some point their children may have to move out or or any other.
I agree.
Veronica, I agree.
Kevin, I agree.
All right. That's the majority.
Consensus, Dave Wig says.
Okay. This was just a spelling issue. I can't believe that they, the survey that they sent out had several spelling errors.
Really?
Yeah. It's like
Nobody proofed it.
no, or maybe they did. I don't know. On number 14, I added, again, can be removed for the limitations on volunteering in town that my job/home obligations prevent me from having the time to volunteer.
This is Veronica. That's a good one. Yeah.
Because I understand that, yes, I have young children, but I don't have children. But it could be also, I have a job that keeps me from being able to do this, or I have other obligations, not necessarily because I have kids.
Right.
This is Dave Wig. I think most of us have jobs that make it difficult to attend this too. And
Well, that's because we're dedicated,
therefore,
Dave.
that doesn't mean that it's not a valid reason why people aren't participating. So I understand that was a good idea.
This is Kevin. I'm cool with it.
All right, majority.
This is Tony. I agree.
Oh, thanks, Tony. Again, just some grammar, capitalization. I added if you have, for like the questions where if you have school-age children, I added does not apply to me because there wasn't that option.
Sounds good.
I changed Roxbury to Morris. Added if you work from home, I added does not apply to me. And that's the end of it.
Great. Nice job.
Good
Very
work.
nice job.
Save it and email it to me,
Sure.
and then I'll convert it back to PDF and send it to Jocelyn so she can fix it.
Veronica, I have one question. Should we add a box at the end for like a general comment somebody wants to write down? Comments box? Remember, David, the one you showed me where somebody wrote in being left alone?
This is Dave Wig. Anybody else have an opinion on this?
I'm not, I can't hurt to have a free form box at the end where you can put, do you have any additional comments?
Yeah, something like
But
that.
they could also then start spouting off about local politicians,
maybe
and we
we
don't need
shouldn't
to
have
know
that.
about all that.
Yeah. It might
Well,
get
if they
political
spin
or
off about politics, we don't, because we're not involved. It's not to do with politics. We would just cross it off and discount it.
better we don't have to go through that. So I think it's fine.
Okay.
All right, so, oops. You guys don't need to say all that. So let me,
You can
give
stop
you
share
that
if you're
screen.
getting
Yeah, I'm trying to, oh, stop share. There we go.
Okay.
Oh, I'm hearing an echo.
Well, let's see where the echo's coming from.
That's Veronica.
probably Veronica.
Oh, come on.
Who's the 203 number?
Me.
Oh, you know what? I think I know what happened.
Oh, did you
I
dial
think
up?
I was always dialed in.
Okay.
Not me, we were fine.
Veronica, I can
I'm
stop
going
your
on
video.
Please
I got my
speak when I
video off.
please.
Everybody else is okay? Mine? No echo?
Oh,
No echo.
This is Kevin. Is it me?
Nope.
Nope.
No, I think it's me.
can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can
See,
hear you.
senorita.
Okay.
Is it still echoing?
No.
No, maybe it wasn't.
All right. Tony, I will send that to you in just a little bit.
Okay. I also have something to show you guys quickly while we're on this topic.
Go on to the
Let me see
the
if I have it
town
here.
plan.
1 second. I'm
Are you
gonna
talking
share.
about the postcard?
Yeah.
Oh, where's we love more?
This is what Roxbury used.
Are we really going to put "We Love Morris" on it?
If this is if we want.
Don't you?
We don't have to.
Make
do it.
Morris great
I
again.
do. But I just think that
Also-
we probably shouldn't put it on that.
Mama.
Also, just so you guys know, the cost of doing it is like over $600 total. I just want everyone to know. I'm not saying anyone should
That's okay.
think about that. I'm just letting everyone know. And the work needed, of course, to send it to every single residence in Morris.
Well, you mean just having it printed and like fulfilled?
Yeah, printed, shipped, everything. It's about $600.
And based on that, maybe I think we should come up with a better estimate, not just say 600. Come up with a
Well, Jocelyn did the
budget
estimate.
number. Tony, can you put something
Jocelyn did
together
the
like that?
estimate with Roxbury.
Well, it would depend on the number. This
Yes.
is Eileen. It would depend on the number of households and what firm we go through to have this printed. The current postage mailing rate is different than when Roxbury did it.
I understand, but I'm just saying that they have 1,500 residences or houses. We have 1,200, so it's going to be fairly close.
Okay.
We have a budget for a town planner that we're not employing, so
No, Dave, we have money in the budget. I'm just
There's money.
letting you guys
It
have
sounds
a
like
thought.
we're doing the town planning, doesn't it?
But I think what I guess I would like to do is get some numbers together so that we can get a motion from the board that accepts doing this.
I'd like to make a motion that we send out a postcard to announce the ways to access the survey.
This is Eileen Nerbutis. I second it.
Make sure you get that all done, Eileen.
Motion to, can
Any
you,
debate?
to send
Any debate?
a postcard to
Actually, with Zoom, we could even type a motion in to the chat.
Yeah, and then it's recorded.
That's just a thought for the future.
So, Veronica, just to make sure I have the notes right, you made the motion to send a postcard to Morris residents for POCAD.
Correct.
And who seconded it? I missed that.
Eileen Nerbuta seconded it.
I only seconded it. Okay, thank you. Any debate on the matter? I'll
No.
call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried unanimously.
Okay.
This is Veronica. Eileen, I want to say one thing. Before we ever send this postcard, you and I need to do a proof, look at it and proof it before we tell anyone who's doing it to go.
Sure, I have no problem doing that.
Why don't, this is Tony speaking, why don't you and Veronica work on it then?
Sure, I can.
Okay.
Is it possible? This is Eileen. Is it possible for you to send me, Tony, this PDF?
I can send it to you.
Beautiful.
Let me send it to you when I get to the office tomorrow, but I'll send it to you.
Sure. And my opinion, is that perhaps if we do decide to do a picture on it, we should do a picture of like the town hall. That way it's a very,
Yes.
like what we have on the website. That way there's consistency.
Yeah, Tom has that, I think, on his computer as his background when he does Zoom videos.
Yeah.
So I think we
I
should
like
be
that.
able to acquire it. Me too.
And Veronica, instead of the We Love Morris, can we just put Morris, Connecticut? Help us plan for the future of our town.
You guys just make
We'll
something
work
up
it
and
out.
then we'll look at it next
Alright.
week or whatever.
And Veronica,
Oh.
this is Eileen. I have a Zoom admin, so I can do a Zoom meeting with you where we would be
Okay,
able
cool.
to do this ourselves.
All right, beautiful.
All right, this is Kevin Curley. With regards to the cost, for the direct mailers, a direct mailer of a much larger size, I think somewhere between 11 and 6 and 15 by 12. Our town's cost, and I know we had we've done it for other things, the Democratic Party, but the estimated cost, I think for the local post office is $189 to send it to all the homes in town.
Okay.
Now that includes their 2 routes, which are just approximately over 400, and 250 post office boxes.
Mm-hmm.
So there's roughly, I'm sure it's changed since last time this has been done, but there's just about 1,068 mailboxes and post office boxes in town to send it to.
Okay.
And that cost is roughly just under $200 to send the postcards.
Okay.
It could be slightly less than that, but it's not going to be more than that.
Okay.
This
the
is
other
Eileen.
thing
We could
is-
go off of how much it costs the town to send that COVID postcard.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. I have to ask
Yeah.
the head of the Beach and Rec, or not the Beach and Rec. She does the, community services and the events and stuff, and I'll have to ask her to help out with that. So.
Okay.
And this is Kevin. To have it printed online somewhere from, a vendor via e-commerce is going to be just about $200 or under. So with those estimates, we are likely to be able to do this for $400. And I hope I don't have my numbers wrong, but I'm pretty sure those are correct.
Okay.
So as
Thank you,
far as
Kevin.
the $600 cost that you gave, or that Tony gave, if I had to guess, that was used at a local shop, where they had the local shop print and process everything. So, we may want to support a local business, and that might be something we want to do. But if money becomes an option, I think that e-commerce is probably going to save us about 25% or 30% off that cost. If money becomes an issue, we should think about that.
We have money in the budget. I was just letting everyone know what she said.
Well, this is Eileen. It's good to know it's going to cost between $400 and maybe $700 as an average.
Of course.
Yeah, so that's great.
What do we want to get on? Is there anything else that we need to talk about for the survey at this point?
What's up?
Not in my opinion.
Nope.
I don't think so.
This is Eileen. I do have some work I have left to do for Tony on the housing for the POCAD. Unfortunately, my extra time this week, I was working on the survey as opposed to pulling those numbers for you.
That's fine.
No problem.
So, but I know that Tony's waiting on me for that.
Just one comment. You said that word that we understand, but I bet you 99% of the people in this town would wonder what the hell is that? And that is POCAD.
POCAD?
I like to use the term town plan
Okay.
because I think that's something somebody would recognize. Yeah, I'm going to try to, especially, it's one thing when we're sitting here amongst, the 5 or 10 or how many people we get in a meeting at a time of us and using the term POCAD. But when we're in front of the town and talking to townspeople, we need to use the word town plan or the town plan of conservation and development.
Okay.
We got to spell it out or just call it town plan for short. I don't care what you call it as long as it's something that would make sense to a layperson.
This is Eileen. My only concern by calling it a town plan is that bystanders may think that we are talking about like the budget.
True.
Well, it's actually beyond the budget. The town budget.
I realize that, and you realize that. But if I were to be talking at Dollar General how I'm working on the town plan, everyone's going to be like, "Oh, what do you mean the town plan? Who do you think you are?"
Then I have no problem. This is the chairman, Dave Week, speaking again, of calling it the town plan of conservation and development.
That's better.
It's just that POCAD is even more.
It's very lingo.
Well,
yes, it's a lot of jargon that lay people would not understand. Agreed.
Just need to think about that so we're not confusing. Yeah, I never called it the POCAD or the POCAD. And that's why when Bob started calling it POCAD 2 years ago, it's like, what's a POCAD? And
Jocelyn never called it the POCAD either. I was like, she was calling it the POCAD. I was like, whatever.
I like
this is Kevin. So, as far as that Roxbury postcard, the one thing that there's two things I like to discuss. One, I don't know if the send us your photos is applicable or we're interested in that. We got to decide on that. But the other thing I don't see in their survey is a phone number to call if you need a hard copy of the survey.
All right, we will make sure we add that.
Okay.
And what phone number would we use? The town clerk?
Yeah, I would.
No.
Or would it be Tony? I think it's
Probably
Tony.
The number for planning and zoning, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think so.
Tony.
Because I don't think
The
Lori
number
Allen
is
is done
the number is 860-567-6097.
Got it.
I'm sorry, Tony, can you repeat it for me?
567-6097.
Okay.
And if you really need it that bad, you can just go on Google.
I have it. Don't worry, Ronnie.
Okay.
Okay. Any more questions on the postcard?
What
Or
are we
thoughts or
going to use
ideas?
as a due date on the survey? This is Veronica. It says, please take the survey by May 30th. What date? Do we have a date in mind?
Well, let's
This is
figure.
Eileen. I would think it would be 30 days out from when it's mailed.
Right. So we have
Yeah.
to think about when that's going to be.
Yeah, let's figure out when we have it ready, and then we'll go 30 days from there. I think that's fair.
This is Dave Weig. I think the point is that we want to try to get this out like for early May, such
Like
that
yesterday.
we have
Okay.
something in June and can have shoot to have any kind of public meetings we want during time when the town is well populated with people from out of town. Not that it probably isn't already, but normally it's not at this time
If
of
I
year.
see one more New York license plate, I swear to God.
Yeah, that's what I
This
say.
is,
They're
what I would
taxpayers.
probably suggest is when it gets sent to the printer, whether that's a local or an online, we should probably put that due date 40 days out from that, because we're going to need grace period window, whether it's a local printer or it's an online. And the other thing to note is with the COVID, I believe that the post office is delaying mailings.
Really?
Son has been sending letters back and forth with classmates,
Oh.
and classmates' parents have been saying, 7 days later they got the letter. I do believe the post office is delaying deliveries as a way of sanitizing envelopes.
This is Eileen. I go to the post office every day because we have a P.O. box. I could talk to Tiffany or Ann and ask them to confirm if that helps.
Okay.
Yes. But regardless, we're going to need a grace period. So I imagine
Agreed.
that whenever we submit it, 40 days from there is probably a good estimate.
This is Eileen. We may want to, whatever company we go through, we ask them how long it will take and then just add that onto whatever the 30 is. So it could be 40, it could be 50, depending upon
Right.
how busy they are with their mailings.
Right.
But I completely agree with Kevin's thinking.
Agreed, Veronica.
This is Eileen. Do we have a preferred vendor, or are we going for local, or are we going for money conservation?
I think maybe the best way is to do time. Let's do it as fast as possible.
All right, I
guess.
can get a couple of quotes and send those to Tony for him to send out to the commission, if that's helpful.
Yes.
That
This
sounds
is
good.
Dave Wig. We need to get 3.
3, no
at a
problem.
minimum. That's, I think, pretty standard governmental.
All right, is everyone in
Process.
agreement that you want me to get, for me to get that? I can do that, no problem.
That's fine.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's
All
fine.
right, I can send that to you by Monday, if that's okay.
Oh, that's perfect. Sure, sounds good.
So that's an action item for me, okay?
Thank you, Eileen.
No problem.
Yes.
Oh, I can also ask the people in town who sent the COVID one too. Who
Ask
they use.
Exactly.
That's right. I'll do that tomorrow.
Thanks.
I'll
I'm
call.
going to go grab a drink out of the fridge. I'll be back in 1 second, guys.
Sure.
If that's allowed.
Yes.
We'll we can all take a 2-minute break if you want.
Yeah, take a
We'll just
bio
come
break.
back at 8 o'clock. Let's just come
Dave,
back at 8 o'clock.
Dave, I'm gonna go eat quick and I'll be right back. Okay.
Okay. So
We're
2-minute
gonna
bio
try
break.
to get underway at 8, but take your time. Don't rush too much, Tony.
No, I won't.
Go ahead.
Sounds good. I'll stop my video and mute so you guys can discuss.
So take
No, we don't
Kate
have to talk
and
to
YouTube watching Chunk the Woodchuck, Chunk
Are
the
we still-
Groundhog eat
we
his,
still
and they film him. That's how bored I got.
I think we're recording still.
Are we?
Yes, we are.
Sorry.
Sorry. Ugh.
Has he figured out how much wood he chucks?
No, but oh my God, I never seen an animal eat an apple so fast in my life. It's hysterical. They stand on their hind legs, hold it, and go around like.
Wow.
So we got, let's see. Mailers.
You guys can't hear the music in the background, can you? Chris is practicing.
Nope.
It's the fun of having
So
a
that's what we're
musician for a
listening to.
partner. What's that?
That's what we're listening to.
Yeah.
I don't hear anything.
Some nice heavy metal music. Woo! Yeah.
What does he play?
He plays both the electric guitar and the drums, but right now he's practicing on the
Wow.
guitar, so he
Cool.
tries to keep it down when I'm working or if I'm on a call for like this.
This is Kevin. So, a place that I have used before online, you can take a note of this, Eileen. It's
Yes.
uzmarketing.com.
You like the letter or YOU?
U is the letter.
Okay.
Z is the letter. So I just quickly looked at what their 4 1/4 by 6 postcard would be. Now, most of the online companies make you do large amounts, and they don't tailor make to like, do you need 1,205? They'll say 1,000 or 2,000.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And they'll make you pay a little more for smaller amounts. So if this company, their quantities are 500, 1,000, then 2,500. And 2,500 is ridiculous. But if you order 1,000 and 500 separately, their cost with before shipping for double-sided color printing front and back is $117 before shipping.
That's not bad.
Now, shipping, whatever, $30 or so, if you do some sort of more expedited shipping, you're looking under $200.
Mm-hmm.
And then $189 for the post office. Yeah.
They charge.
Anyways, that's one price option.
Nice. Thanks, Kevin.
Very reasonable.
Do we have anything else on the postcard we want to discuss? It sounds like we might have actually gotten to the end of that.
Thank God.
Not a problem. I'd rather get it all out on the table.
Yeah.
Do we have anything on the town plan of conservation and development that we want to talk about here? Does anybody have any updates?
No.
Dave, this is Kevin. You had sent an email, but it wasn't posted online, right? You had sent an email with
I copied you and the two Bobs.
for the town
because-
plan center.
Yeah, I didn't want to make a quorum out of it, number one. And I just wanted to get Tony the copy of what I had found, some changes I had made to my piece. And I figured you might be compiling it all, Kevin, and Bob was doing some compiling work. Macintosh, that is, and then Paradis is doing economic development, and what I'm doing is pertinent to what he's doing.
Yeah,
So
okay.
the one thing in all of that I'd like to bring up and present to the board is, maybe I already did that, but I thought maybe there was something else on that. Let me hold off. But what were you going to?
So the question is, if we're going to discuss that, can we? We'll make sure we have that added to the next meeting in the document section when Tony adds the documents to the agenda.
Yes, because there was something in there, and that's that I think we need to. What I was just to iterate, and because this has to do with the town plan anyway, so to me it does technically fall under this line item. Is basically what I wrote is one other idea came to mind for the town plan. That's before we agreed. kind of said we want to do the town plan of conservation and development, to be clear. There are a number of pressing non-conforming, pre-existing non-conforming commercial uses in town. Additionally, there are commercial uses that are granted by special exception. And I added, we need to better catalog and track these uses. This is again, David Weig, Forest Planning and Zoning Commission. This probably goes under economic development, because I see this as being a recommendation. Of all these all these pre-existing uses, of all these, the pre-existing uses are the most difficult to manage. There are many examples: 221 South Street, 197 South Street, the old Letsky property, which is a self-storage place that we used to know as the Jason DeVoe property. For people who've been on the board long enough, it's on the right-hand side before Terrell Hill Road. And West Shore Seafood are a few examples of such properties. I think we need, what I want to do is expand on something that was done some years ago. We have a map that Bob McIntosh found in the files, or maybe it was Tony, or maybe it was Karen, or somebody along the way, and that highlights all the pre-existing non-conforming uses and special exception uses that are commercial in town, that, you know, because we should have an inventory. I think just like we have an inventory of everything for the natural resources, natural and cultural resources, and, you know, that we had put together some years ago. We never got anything quite like that on economic development. And I'd like to see some effort made to map out what we have, and so we have an idea of what we need. And I don't think we know all that we have at this point in time, and I feel that's important for economic development. But yes, maybe when Tony comes back, we'll make sure he puts a note under the this line item for the next meeting to bring that item up, because it'd be better to discuss it when Bob Paradis is here.
This is Eileen. I would also be interested to hear about the open town planner position. Perhaps we should speak about that, unless you guys have at a previous meeting that I was not at.
Well, I don't know what, I kind of missed out on what we really ended up doing, but it's like with this town plan of development, normally what happens is town plan of conservation development, excuse me, this is Dave Weig again, is that we have a town planner that we does contract work for us, and we charter with him of writing it up and planning it and doing a lot of what we've done so far. And there is always has been, I believe there still is a line item in the budget for that position that we barely scratched the surface on. We used to have a man named Tom McGowan who we used, but he's no longer doing it. He can't really keep up with the work anymore. And for a while, we're talking to this man, Hiram Peck, who does this for several other towns and was willing to, you know, contract to help us do our town plan. But we never really got around with meeting him or making a decision on him as a board. Half the problem is that we never seem to be able to get together for enough meetings in a month to schedule something and fit him in. But that's what this position is, and, you know, it's one of those things that we've always done in the past, and I think in the long run, it's something we're going to need to have, but so far we're trying to get by without it.
Mm-hmm.
Dave, this is Kevin. Are we still, I mean, we are still expecting some planning professional to do an overview of our almost completed draft, correct? Or not correct?
I think that's something when Bob McIntosh is on the phone, we should, that's what he's thinking. But I think that to me is not a decision I will make on my own. I would leave that open to the board to make a decision on, and at some point make a motion on. I tend to think that it's advisable that we have somebody look at it, whether it be a town planner or worst case scenario, Stephen Byrne, our attorney, to make sure we're legally covered with the stuff we're putting in place and proposing. One way or another, I think that's a requirement that we do that. Because
Well, this is
despite
Veronica.
being
Isn't that
well-
what Jocelyn was kind of
Veronica.
offering to us for a cost to help with that?
I'm back.
Jocelyn, you mean?
Yeah, Jocelyn from the COG.
Yeah.
Isn't that, remember
Actually,
she
yes,
came
I'll
and
take that back.
presented
I
what
think
she could
maybe,
do for us?
yes, you're correct,
But then
Veronica.
we talked
I think
about
that's
doing it
true.
ourselves. So we have to just pick somebody to review it when we're done, I guess.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Just so you guys know, I'm back now.
Hello, Beth.
What'd you have
Hey.
for dinner?
Pizza.
So we pretty much are done with the postcard. Tony, this is Dave Wig.
Okay, good.
We discussed, I think Kevin brought up a vendor and discussed some, things on what the mailing rates, because they usually do like 500. This one does doing 500, 1,250, like 2,500 in a batch sort of thing. And
Okay.
I don't know if you were here for when we put the phone number on there.
Yeah, I was here
I
for
think
that. Was
that's
the last
pretty
thing I was part of.
Covered what we talked about till, and I guess maybe a question for you is, where was Bob at in his thinking for what we would do to get a professional review of what we eventually put together here?
I guess
Was it-
Hiram Peck. I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, because we will use him when we need him, type of thing.
Oh, this is
Which is not an
Veronica.
issue by
We
me.
had decided that. I thought we were still up in the air.
This is
No.
Yeah, I
Kevin.
thought we were still doing that too.
This is Kevin. I remember, now that Yatan said that, I remember us discussing that and coming to a conclusion that for the time being, and this was with Bob leading us on this, that we would use him as needed on this. Now that I remember that, I believe that's what Bob McIntosh had led us to.
Okay.
This is Dave Wig. I don't think I was there for that meeting, so, and that makes sense. That's not, the bottom line is, whether it be Hiram Peck or the Northwest Conservation District or Steve Byrne, I think we need somebody to review it, and I agree with that. Are we going to go over the document at any point in time, the plan of conservation development, or we want to postpone that till next week? Are we ready with anything new, Tony?
I don't really have anything new. I mean, you sent me something, David.
Right.
And then Bob Paradis also sent me something, but maybe we should just wait till next week so that he can do his part and you do your part. And I'd also like to have Veronica or I'll use the Google Doc so we can look at her changes as well.
Yeah, because I
I'm
had sent
agreeable
to
with
you
that.
with the changes and stuff and some colors, but it didn't transpose when you put it in.
Yeah, so maybe next week I'll try to get back onto that and we'll do
Okay.
that.
Sounds good.
Because we'll have a larger crowd at that point in time, hopefully.
Should have.
Anyway. Yes.
Okay.
And it gives anybody who's still working more chance to get some updates then, so we can have a complete document. And the other thing that we talked when you weren't here was the email that I sent earlier today. In addition to the document itself, I had sent a message saying that we may want, that I've always wanted to have a better I'd really like to see something on economic development like we have for natural and cultural resources in town. And part of that would be an understanding and listing of what the properties are and where they are and such as that. And it's not just properties that are in the CA, CB, and LCD zones and the light industrial zones. There are pre-existing non-conforming uses, and as I pointed out in that message, they're sometimes our biggest thorns in our side, and that we need to have a catalog of what these things are, and so we pay attention to what things are. Because my motivation on that is literally the old Letsky property. We did a 4-lot subdivision on that back in the early 90s. A couple of you have heard this story already. Not everybody has. And basically what ended up happening is that a year or two later, David Poletsky came in with David Poletsky was selling 2 of the properties, or actually all 4 properties, as a commercial property. And that was not in the commercial zone. It had pre-existing non-conforming uses, but it would not be fair and consistent with the regulation on that to have 4 separate pre-existing non-conforming uses on that came from 2 pre-existing non-conforming uses on one property. So what we agreed to do is that the 2 front lots of that property would be pre-existing non-conforming. One is the self-storage that we know of on Route 63. But those are the reasons why we need to know and be aware of what properties have such pre-existing non-conforming uses, so that we're aware of that when we make decisions on these properties.
Okay.
And what the value of some of this information would be, just one example.
I mean, I could do a little bit of that research too. Maybe.
There's also a map that Leon Boudelier had put together. He pasted together some property maps and highlighted the properties that had commercial uses on them, pre-existing non-conforming or special exception. And that's another place to look and start on that. Bob McIntosh should know where that is.
Okay.
But anyway, so we're done with the plan of conservation and development. We are going to go on to the complaints. What is the status of 16 West Street, Tony?
All right, one second. I actually went around today and took some pictures. Not of all the properties because the camera died, and I just went back and did a couple of them. But let's see. Let me share the screen. Let me make sure I got this how it's supposed to be, and then okay, perfect.
This is Kevin. Quickly about the May meetings. Are we going back to Wednesday, Monday?
Yeah.
I think at least at the start of the month, because Wednesday and Monday will basically fall about 4 days apart.
So
Let's
the
start
6th
with
and
that,
the 11th.
and then next on Monday we'll decide what we need to do to keep things moving at that point in time.
Okay.
Good question, Kevin. This is Dave Wigg speaking.
All right. So the status of Dollar General, I'll show you guys that later. But is basically that I brought the citation there to the manager, and he brought it to corporate or the district manager, and they just told them to bring the stuff inside. And since that day, which was I think about 2 weeks ago, there's been nothing outside.
Good.
So there's the evidence, because I know everyone here wants evidence.
Yes, this is Eileen. I go by Dollar General all the time, and I haven't seen anything outside.
All right, good.
Good.
And all right. So I think maybe, Dave, should we keep it on the agenda maybe for another couple weeks just in case, and then
Let's keep it on at least for the next 2 weeks, and we can make a final decision on that Monday whether we hold it over to the next month.
okay.
So
All
I
right.
see that at 6.
Sounds good.
30 Anderson Road, the potential
I don't-
junkyard, which
I don't have any new pictures, but this is basically this is old, but this is what it still looks like. Maybe it's worse now, actually.
It's not any better. Let's put it that way.
No, and I remember Bob mentioned how he's been talking to the head of the leader, I guess, of the gun club, and how they have a tenant there, and they want him to fix it up. But I'll have to contact him. I didn't get the chance to do it this week, but I'll talk to Bob to get the number, and I'll probably call this guy again. So yeah.
No problem. This one came from me. It's been progressively getting worse over the years. This is Dave Wigg speaking.
Yeah, and I'll get better pictures for next week as well.
Cool.
Okay, what's next? Because I don't have the agenda out.
449 Bantam Lake Road, site plan update.
Nothing there, just the same as last week. How they gave us a new site plan, but me and Bob have to coordinate how we're gonna talk to them to get involved and let us know the changes or whatever. So.
Okay,
Well, it
that-
would be you and David now, right?
Yes, and David, I guess.
Bob's welcome to pitch in, as I think that's why he wanted to stay on in the transition role. I think maybe we should just say all three of us at this point in time.
And Kevin will keep him in the loop just so he knows what's going on.
Yeah. And that's
Okay,
not a
then-
problem with me.
Veronica, Tony, the next one on the list is 221 South Street, says may have gone beyond the scope of special permit.
Let me skip that.
Yes.
Okay,
if anybody doesn't know, that's one of our famous pre-existing non-conforming commercial uses. The history on that is that was a regular residence. A man named Ballard owned it and wanted to create a nursery there, except he didn't have enough acreage to support a nursery. The board rejected his application and went to the Zoning Board of Appeals. The Zoning Board of Appeals ruled us and allowed it to happen. And he didn't survive very long with the business, and eventually got bought by somebody who put in a kind of like a Chuck Alexanis kind of like antique car, fiddling around kind of place. And then somebody took it over and wanted to sell cars, and there's a specific site plan with a set number of vehicles they can have on the property. And what Tony is saying is, I can't tell the count from the pictures so far that I've
Yeah, I
looked
can't
closely
tell
at.
the count either. I'd actually have to go there and count every single thing.
Wow.
But I did some research recently and looked through the minutes of, I think in the early 2010, 11, 12, they were sent a cease and desist order by the Planning and Zoning Commission because maybe they had too many cars or something. And
Sorry. I know the property owners are actually my neighbors. Back in the day, it was a repair license and it was passed on. And when I looked at the property about purchasing it years ago, because we were going to do an automotive facility there, you're only allowed to have so many unregistered or unplated vehicles.
yeah, I think it's 10. I think the number is
Yeah, it was
10.
a very, very low number. And then they decided to pass it on to, I think there's 4 different owners that went into this thing. It was
Yeah,
set up. One owned the property, one owned the license, one did the repairs, and then it went back and forth. Now it's PJ Zarella is the licensee, has the license. I don't know who's the property owner.
Yeah, I know it was bought in 2010, so I don't.
Bill-
That man.
I don't know if you know American Asphalt. Scott Sandbrook from Connecticut Seal Coating bought it.
Oh, okay.
And then he kept the license because he had the house next door. He renovated that apartment there. And then, so yes, you're only allowed so many vehicles on the register there. I think it's still a dealer license on the property.
Okay. Yeah, and they also have some other. They have
Yeah, he's doing
parking spaces allowed for.
It's
I don't
very
know,
minimum because
storage.
It
It's
was no good for us.
Employees.
yeah for employees,
No,
but
that's-
all. Sorry, Dave. Go ahead.
I don't believe there's any storage spaces. At least that was not part of the. I don't think that changed with what happened. Because yes, we did try to cease and desist them, but nothing ever came of that. And
Well, I know the ZBA. I don't know, upheld their appeal, or what's the word I'm looking for? You guys sent it to them, and they said that they could do it or whatever. Yeah.
Maybe they have, this is Veronica, maybe they have additional spaces for repair for cars they keep for repair for
It's-
overnight.
Yeah, there's a good.
You guys,
I
the writing, and sorry, Dave Jeremiah. I remember when, We looked at that, and there was very, very strict,
Mhm.
very strict guidelines on that property.
You know, but they can have like, you know, spaces for, you know, like the boats and stuff, fixable, like Veronica said, repair and stuff. So it is
Yeah.
pretty, there's requirements, but you know, there's a good amount. I remember something about 12 or 24 spaces allowed for other things. So
Yeah.
I'll have to look into it more with Bob, I think. So
I
This
think what
is Kevin.
I'd like to, Tony, excuse me, Kevin, this is Dave. Could you, and I'll let you speak once after that.
Sure.
Could you get together the pertinent paperwork and put together a packet and send it out to the board? Because I think this is something that we all need to look at closely to make it to
yeah, no, it's
understand where we're at and where we're going with it. 'Cause
yeah, no, I have all the files somewhere. I don't know if I can. I mean, I guess I could scan it all, or I can ask Sue to do it. But yeah, I can get the stuff that we need uploaded somehow. Sure.
Thank you.
That's fine too, if you could please, because this is, I think we need to do a lot of research on this and make sure we have our I's dotted.
Oh
and
yeah,
T's
there was a
crossed.
lot of research. It was a couple hours worth at least, if not more.
Because if they want to do anything more than what they're doing here, you know, they need to come in with an updated special exception application, because that would make everything that's going on here legal, because it's a light industrial zone.
Yeah, I tried that. You guys wouldn't do it. Because where it's set up and where it's set, yeah, we looked into that. Did not pass the board back then. That's why I went.
The board's different,
Oh,
Dave.
really?
Well, I'm the next picture.
No, but the regulations are still the same. Not who you know, it's the reg.
Again, I think I
Show my
personally
picture,
believe after reading all this stuff, I think they're okay. But I just wanted to bring it up so that we can, you know, get a better
Well, you know,
idea.
little C, and I'm a neat freak, so you can show the next picture because
I'll show them all. Yeah, I have.
Yeah, the
Yeah, well,
tires.
I'm not done with I'm done for today with 221 South Street.
Hold on, one more thing. This is Kevin.
Kevin, yes, I'm sorry, Kevin.
Todd,
Forgot about
if
that.
you think that there's a question with unplated vehicles, when you get that packet together before the next meeting, is it possible for you to do a count of the unplated vehicles? That way we're prepared to act on it if it's not in compliance?
Yes.
I'd probably have to ask them probably. Or go there, call them. I don't know.
You can't count the vehicles that have plates on them.
I mean, it's hard to find because there's cars and stuff everywhere.
he has the black truck and the Suburban is PJ's.
Okay.
PJ's a nice guy. You could talk to him.
Okay. Sounds good. Or
It sounds like this is Eileen that David Jeremiah should be speaking to PJ.
yeah.
Nothing.
Well, technically, if Dave said it's his property next door. I don't know. Is that your property or your dad's property?
That's mine.
It's yours. Technically, that's grounds for him recusing himself because they're neighbors, adjoining property owners.
That's true as well.
Technically aren't. So
I can't
So
vote
let's,
on it anyway. I wouldn't vote on his stuff.
I know.
I have to abstain from
I
it.
understand. But when you recuse, you need to basically shut off your mic and shut off your picture for the duration of the event. If we're doing it on TV, when you're in the office, in the meeting, you're really supposed to get up and
Walk in.
technically leave the room and not sit at the table.
Yeah.
And I just assumed it was your dad, not you. That's
Well,
why. I'd like.
I haven't purchased it completely yet, so technically, legally, it's still his until it's mine. We're waiting on papers.
Okay,
So it's my.
I got you.
I mean, Dave, technically he's recused,
Yes.
so
but
he can
there's-
describe the. No, I get that. So
Well, if you guys have questions, I'm here.
no,
anyway.
that's what I'm kind of saying.
I-
Like technically, you'll be like an audience member now
Sure.
and explain the.
No. You're not even supposed to be an audience member. You're not supposed
Really?
to speak.
Not when you
at all.
recuse, you can't be involved at all.
Those are the rules, and that's why I will skip over the 197 South Street for the time being, because it's not. I don't think it's fair to Dave, since if he is the property owner, he can speak to what's going on there. As a property owner, that's different. He just can't. But technically,
Well, Well, I haven't,
That's something.
I haven't physically received any complaints on it, so
No, I just happened to notice it the other day in driving by and said, "Gee,
the tarp. Are you
this
talking about
almost looks like this looks a little like."
selling ducks?
I mean, it's a little neater than the other place, but still.
Yeah, I put 150 into it. It looks much better than what it was.
But
So,
anyway,
yeah.
we'll skip over this till next Wednesday
Okay.
because I'd rather have Dave to be able to at least recuse himself, and I'd be better prepared to decide how he needs to present himself in the whole scheme of things, so we protect his rights and protect ourselves as a board. That's all.
Okay.
Agreed.
All right. So I think
So
that's
we do have one more item that is 89 Anderson Road, and those are our favorite horses.
well. There's
And they're
only.
not
I
talking.
mean,
It's not Mr. Ed. He doesn't talk.
I went so a couple weeks ago. I think Bob saw one, and I saw one that same week. But I sent Tucker an email, just making sure that the horse was only there for a visit recently. And he said, "Yeah, that's the case," and I haven't seen it the last couple of times. So I'll keep an eye on it. But
He was the one that rides the horses to the gas station, right?
yep, that's the one.
Right.
This is Veronica. Are we allowed to ask him where is it being stabled when it's not visiting?
I mean, I guess, but I feel like if it's not there, I don't think it matters personally.
Well, in a way, it'd be nice to have documentation of where they actually are. So it might. I mean, you might suggest to him if there's some way he could document the fact they are being kept someplace else. It might keep us off his back, such that we don't wonder what the hell's going on.
Right. It would take it off our agenda.
I guess I can ask him. I guess.
And that was Dave Weeks speaking to Veronica.
And Veronica, I'm sorry.
Calling him. That's fine. I'm just trying to.
Yeah.
We're kind of losing sight of that again. I'm trying to pick it up again.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's like it hasn't really been there a lot. Like last year, I remember it was there many days in a row, and like this year, I see it one day, and one day it's not there. So
This is Veronica.
We're
He
making
just could
progress.
be better at hiding it, though. We don't know.
yeah, but I drive in the back. That's all his property is, and it's not there. So I know I see it or I don't
Okay.
see it. There's no place he can hide it unless he's hiding it inside his house. But I don't think he's doing that. So
Yeah, this is Veronica. You never know. You never
I mean,
know.
Could be
I-
roommates.
I haven't seen it inside the house. Okay.
Excuse me, Veronica. On YouTube, there's a guy who keeps a buffalo in his house.
Teach their own.
This is Eileen. I think that falls outside of P&Z.
Yeah,
Probably, yeah.
probably.
So communication and bills, Tony.
There's
Yes, I don't think we have anything left on the agenda unless you have something to add, Tony.
no, I don't have anything. We can't really talk about stuff that's not on there. The only thing I can mention is that we haven't really had many bills lately, and Steve Byrne has kept a little update here and there. But the latest thing I got basically is they canceled that conference that Dave likes to go to every year.
Oh, yeah. I've only been to it twice in 30 years. So
that would like to go to every year.
Well, I'd like, when that happens next year, I'm hoping it does happen. And if the two Bobs are still members of the board, just so everybody knows, they should be eligible for 12-year awards and should be nominated, even if they don't want to show up. Just that way people know who they are, and they get announced in front of some of their peers from other towns that they don't know. And
They
I
should
think
be
it's just good
acknowledged.
recognition.
I
Yes.
think we should all go.
Yeah, it would have been good to go
That-
this year
it's a-
because
it's a
Hiram
dinner
Peck was
at
the
the-
speaker. So
Oh, wow. It's a dinner at the AquaTurf.
Ooh.
Darn.
not
Dave Jeremiah rolled his eyes.
not this year. Not this year.
No, I know.
Stuff in there.
This is different.
And I really have nothing else to add. I have done 5 applications for the month of April, so that's good. Only had
Wow.
2 the first 3 months of the year, so
This is Eileen. I just want to have documented when is the next meeting so that we have that.
Well, the regular.
Wednesday, okay, just for everybody's information who may not realize it, the first Wednesday of every month is always a regularly scheduled meeting. Those are meetings when we'll actually have a agenda review item on the agenda, because in a special meeting, you cannot add items to an agenda. But at a regular meeting that is noticed from the start of the year, that's why we sit down at the end of every year and draw up our meeting schedule for the following year, because that gets filed in town and with the Secretary of State. So anybody who wants to attend our meetings has the ability to know, and who knows what they're doing goes to those resources to find it. Therefore, we can have a much freer agenda. Not that I recommend doing that, and we should have a pretty accurate agenda going into it anyway. But if there's a need to spot something on there, we can do that, because those are expected to be held for that purpose. And there are two every month. The first, the one I just mentioned, the first Wednesday of the month, and the second is the second Monday of every month. Historically, the Wednesday meeting was our zoning meeting and the Monday meeting is our planning meeting, but we've never really stuck to that. That was the original intent. And we used to call the Monday meeting a workshop meeting, and we always were told by Ann Carr, there's no such thing as a workshop meeting. But so eventually when I became chairman, I just noticed it as a regular meeting and says it's a regular workshop meeting.
Okay.
But now it's
So
just a
May
regular
6th and May 11th are the next scheduled meetings.
Mhm.
Yeah, and they'll
Correct.
probably be Zoom meetings most likely.
I would hope so.
Yes.
Yes. All right.
Well, I think what we need to do in general is find a way that we can do Zoom regardless. And, have you talked at all to Tom about that? That in the future,
I have not. I'll
We
be
have-
honest with you.
would you have the opportunity to see him at all when you're
I can do it tomorrow when I go there. I forgot last time we kind of talked about it, but I can do it tomorrow.
No problem. I think that's that would be good going forward, because, if Eileen goes back to traveling and I got to travel, make it possible for us to attend. And if Bob M is down in Jersey, that gives him an avenue too to continue to participate.
Mhm.
This is Eileen. I agree.
Well, I
This
think
is Veronica, I agree. And then there's also a record of it in the minutes, the videos right online for people at the website, right?
hmm
Yeah, it's
True.
perfect.
Dave Jeremiah, I think you were going to say something.
No, I was just saying that at the town hall, you have the projector. So
We
you
do.
we can always try practicing setting something up, so we could set and go, ready to go every time.
Yeah, sounds good. We can have the people who are not at the meetings up there, and you
Yeah.
can probably see each other. I'm sure it's possible.
And this is Eileen. When I was traveling last year, a couple times I just called in and did it over the conference line. So we were able to do that a couple of times. So it's not as good as Zoom, because this way I'm able to see the documents, but at least this way I was able to contribute to the meeting.
Yes.
Have you guys, when your company's going to start traveling again? Any news?
My company is based out of Boston. So they're not opening up until at least June. And then the company that I work for, I was told even after the state opens, they're still going to be segmented when people go back into the office. I am a remote employee anyways, so I'm always working from home, but I do travel for work. And we have now added the capability of doing audits and risk assessments virtually. So I'm hoping I don't have to travel all the time, although I already have a week in Maine planned, but I'm hoping I don't have to go.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyone's gonna make a motion to adjourn or what?
I'll make a motion.
This is
Sorry,
Veron-
this is Kevin.
Go ahead, David.
Kevin made the motion. Second. Veronica seconded.
I'll second it.
Oh, I thought you did second it. I'm sorry.
All right, so Kevin made the first motion, Veronica seconded it at 8:35. The shortest meeting
Yeah.
on record.
Hey, Tony, Chris.
Probably not, but it's far from the longest meeting on record.
One second. Let me stop the recording.